reviewing the 2022 Wild Card Playoffs. People love the weekend. Great games. What entertainment. Not from my perspective. Were there some surprises? Yes. Were there some entertaining games? Yes. But it all depends on how you look at it. If you're just looking for eye candy, if you're just looking for close games, competitive games, I can see how that might satisfy you. But when you're looking for quality teams, I think there was a lot lacking this weekend. And I continue to bring it up that I have a problem with the 7th team. The Buccaneers should not have been in the playoffs. They had a losing record. I will get back to that. The Jaguars, okay, they win, but are they a real serious playoff team? No. And let's look at some of these other teams. The Seahawks barely get in. Would you really consider them a serious playoff team? I wouldn't. The Ravens have a backup quarterback. The Dolphins were on a third-string quarterback. I think what we saw this weekend was a lot of teams that played down to their competition, and no one across the board really impressed me, NFC or AFC. Well, let's look at these 6 games that we had. First off, Seahawks 49ers. We got this one right. We picked the 49ers. This was not the game we expected for a couple reasons. The whole week leading up to this game, this is going to be a terrible storm coming into the Bay Area. It wasn't. Should have known better, because they've been saying that for weeks, and the reports have been wrong. The weather really didn't affect the game very much. 49ers got off to a good start. But then the Seahawks controlled the second half, actually took the lead at halftime. The 49ers had a very bad second quarter. The Seahawks made some adjustments. Geno Smith was getting the ball out fast, which neutralized the 49ers pass rush, and he was on point. He was decisive. And they ran the ball effectively with Walker, more than I expected. The 49ers offense was a little off in the second quarter. They made the adjustments. They won the third quarter and won the game in the third quarter. And Brock Purdy had an outstanding all-around game. 3 touchdown passes, over 300 yards passing. And I didn't even talk about him being a rookie quarterback, because there's nothing about him that says rookie quarterback. And he's on such a great team in regards to talent. Running back, tight end, receivers, playmakers everywhere. I didn't think it was going to be a problem, and he had one quarter where he was a little off. He was outstanding in the third quarter, and it was as good of a performance as you could expect out of a rookie quarterback who didn't even quite play half of the regular season games. I give the Seahawks a lot of credit for this, because they were outmanned. They were out. The talent disparity is huge. Pete Carroll had his team ready. He had them disciplined. They almost played a perfect first half. They didn't make mistakes. They didn't turn the ball over. Geno Smith was prepared, and he made big plays. I mean, that play to DK Metcalf, incredible. They had a balanced attack, and I was disappointed with the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers win this game. They put 41 points, and the Seahawks got a late touchdown, which made the score look a little better than it was. It's just the 49ers came all out and dominated the third quarter. The play of the game came in the third quarter with the Omenihu sack, strip sack. Nick Bosa covers the fumble. I feel the 49ers did play a little down to their competition. They beat the Seahawks twice already in the season. They're going to have to play better going forward. They win the game, they're going to have to play better. And the final stats look great with Purdy. And McCaffrey was amazing. Deebo Samuel, in my opinion, had by far his best game of the season. I like to see him used as a receiver more than a running back. Get the ball down the field, this guy, because we know defensive backs cannot tackle him. So if you get the ball and push it down the field a little more with him, corners and safeties are in trouble. They didn't use much of George Kittle. Brandon Ayuk just does what Brandon Ayuk does. So steady, so consistent. He's the true number one receiver on the team. But you had big performances from Purdy. You had Deebo with his big play, and then McCaffrey pulls off the long run at the start of the game. Again, I don't know how Christian McCaffrey's not an All-Pro or Pro Bowler. It's beyond me. The offense really won the game. Yeah, the defense, except for a late touchdown when all the starters were out, had a shutout in the second half. I thought it was a very vanilla defense. There was not a lot of creativity, especially when the Seahawks were moving the football. Because at the point when there was the strip sack, the Seahawks were just about down the red zone. And I was not impressed by DeMeco Ryans. Nick Bosa had a very quiet game. He should be Defensive Player of the Year. I've already talked about that. This was about the quietest game I can remember him having this year. And sure, he gets all the attention in the world, and the whole offense, the Lions focusing on him, but he didn't even register a quarterback hit. And he's just been on another level even in the playoffs in the past. He got the big fumble recovery. He had a impressive tackle for a loss in the game, but not your typical Nick Bosa game. And I have to say this too, that it was Grant Cohn who brought this up, and I was saying this a week or two ago, that I have a problem with coaches being interviewed during the playoffs for head coach positions. And he suggested that it should just be frozen and put on hold until the Super Bowl's over, or at least until that coach's season is over. But just in fairness, I think it should just be held off until the Super Bowl's over. They can wait. There's 2 months, or more months, to get ready and prepare for the draft. They have enough time for free agents, even if they have to push it back some. Just do it. Because it does affect. And I really do think it's had an issue on the 49ers defense that has not been as sharp here at the end of the season, because I think that DeMeco Ryans is distracted. He's in demand. I mean, this week he's got 4 interviews lined up. Yeah, they had an extra day to prepare. How can you say your head's really in the game? I don't know. 49ers win, they advance, but I sit there again saying, you better not play that way this coming week. You better be on it. They beat the Seahawks 3 times in one season. That's good. The final box score looks good. The statistics look good. And I felt when the game was getting away a bit in the second quarter, maybe not getting away is the right thing to say, but when the Seahawks controlled the second quarter, I didn't like the play calling from Kyle Shanahan at all. It's just, you don't have to get cute. You have all the players just play straight up and dominate these guys and use George Kittle a little bit more. I don't understand why, when it comes to playoff time, even when George Kittle is hot and it's been on a roll, they stop using George Kittle. I mean, everyone with the Chiefs knows that Patrick Mahomes is going to throw to Travis Kelce, and he's going to get him the ball. You can't do that with Kittle and with all the weapons the 49ers have? I don't get it. I do like some of the things they tried, and it is a handful when you have Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey on the field at the same time, when you have McCaffrey actually split out as a receiver, and then you have Deebo in the backfield. Or another thing that was interesting, I can't remember if this was the week before, but they had Elijah Mitchell and McCaffrey on the field at the same time. I liked that. You have to be sharper in the divisional round. The 49ers get their win. Not going to exhaust any of these games too much because it's just wild card week. The evening game, and I admit I did not watch this whole game. Chargers, shame on you. And they give up a 27-point lead. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions, 3 of them to Samuel. There's just no excuse. There is no excuse. You don't have Tom Brady on the other side of the field. Patriots Tom Brady and Belichick and McDaniels. You don't have that. This is Trevor Lawrence, and yes, is he an upcoming young quarterback? Does he have talent? No one's disputing that. I don't care if it's on the road. It's Jacksonville. You've got Herbert. You've got weapons on offense. On defense, you have Khalil Mack, not the player he used to be, but still a good player. I'd take him on my team anytime. You have Joey Bosa back. You have a complete team. One of the few teams in my mind that is a complete team in the NFL. Not that I was picking them to win the Super Bowl or anything, but I don't care if the Jaguars are on a win streak. You had him down 27 points it was 27-0, and you allow them to come back, and you really can't do anything in the second half against the Jaguars. Staley should have been fired. They fired the offensive coordinator. Oh, that's really funny. That's not the problem. The head coach let him down last year at the end of the season. He lets them down this year. And you know what's really interesting, though, about these 4 games, or these 2 games with the 4 quarterbacks, is none of them had ever started a game. Purdy, Geno Smith, Lawrence, and Herbert, all 4 of these quarterbacks were starting their first playoff game. The Jaguars advanced. I'm disappointed because I'm not a Chargers fan, but I thought they would give whoever they faced in the AFC a harder fight than what the Jaguars are going to do. Let's just say if it was going to be Chiefs and Chargers, which that would have been, I think that the Chargers would have given the Chiefs a tough game. I just see Jacksonville going to Kansas City and getting put in their place. All right, Sunday. Sunday was the Bills and the Dolphins. Bills got off to a good start. Kind of reminded me of the 49ers Seahawks game. And then the Dolphins with Thompson. Again, 3rd string quarterback. gave the Bills all they could handle. Again, the Bills were the team that we were told at the start of the season, this is the team that's going to go all the way. They destroyed the Rams in week 1. They beat the Chiefs. And I'm not convinced. Are they good? Yes. Are they going to beat the Chiefs in a neutral site? I'm having a hard time seeing it right now. This was a bad game for Josh Allen. And I'm less than impressed with the Bills' defense. Again, they were at home against a third-string quarterback. The Dolphins have talent. Yes, every team has talent. But this was not Tua in the first half of the season when he was looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. No, this was a third-string quarterback who went into what's supposed to be a hostile environment. McDaniel did not have a good game coaching. The plays didn't get on time. I know this is a new quarterback, but I felt if the Dolphins could have played a little cleaner game, if they could have eliminated a few of those mistakes, they could have won this. In some ways, they should have won in Buffalo, and the Bills are lucky to still be in the playoffs. The afternoon game, the Giants and the Vikings. Purple on purple, really Vikings. But looking at the game, the Vikings' offense wasn't bad. Their defense was bad. Yeah, and who really believed that Kirk Cousins would get the job done? No one. I picked the Vikings, but I did not feel good about this. I thought they were going to at least defend their home field a little better than they did, and they didn't. They made it very easy on the Giants. And I give the Giants the credit because they were prepared. They were confident. They didn't try to do too much. Daniel Jones played as well as he could have played. He was decisive. He was accurate. He wasn't trying to go for the home run, but he made plays. And he was the leading rusher for the Giants, not Saquon Barkley. And he's a very underrated athlete. I mean, he's not going to run like Justin Fields to Lamar Jackson, but those are my two guys in the league who can run like that. But he is sneaky fast. He gets in the open field, he's going to outrun a lot of linebackers and defensive ends who are good athletes. And then they played tough on defense. They got pressure. And what they did was they really took away Justin Jefferson. I mean, he was bracketed with defensive backs on both sides. And he was almost unstoppable this year in the regular season. He's put up incredible regular season numbers. But quiet game for him. And the Giants were the more physical team. They were the more prepared team. And they were the team that wanted it more. And I'm sorry, I should have picked the Giants, not the Vikings. I almost did. I still complain about indoor games in the afternoon and evening. It's bad football. It's a bad watch. The Giants pull the upset and they advance. And you know what? The thing is with some of these games is you will get the upset. You know, you have enough of these wild card teams, they will win. Some of them will win. But I complain all the time, and we'll say this again and again, that for the most part, the teams that would just start the divisional round after this week were going to get in, and they won anyway. The Vikings are a poor representative of a divisional winner. I mean, not as bad as the Buccaneers, but for a team that has many wins as the Vikings, same old problems with them. You're never going to win anything big with Kirk Cousins. He'll get you to the playoffs. You'll have some good moments. He'll make some big plays, but forget about it. I mean, you'll be lucky if you make it to the conference championship. You're not making it to the Super Bowl. And they changed their head coach. You got the same problem. Try all you want. You got the same problems in Minnesota. And Dable has done a fine job in New York. He really has done. And he's gotten the most out of Daniel Jones, who has a lot of talent, actually, that we're seeing. Then the evening game. This is also one I did not sit down and watch the whole game. What I will say is the Bengals win, but also they escape with a win. They were fortunate. If Lamar Jackson was healthy in this game, they may have lost. And I want to give an applause to Huntley, who was playing hurt, and he gave it his best. And I know he had the goal line fumble, which was a play that really changed the game and was the difference. But he stepped in there and overall played a good game. The Bengals, like the Bills, that was not a good effort at home. And sure, you can say, oh, well, should have, it's never easy to beat a team 3 times. The Ravens, as we said in the preview, are very well coached. They're always prepared. They play tough. Right now, I'm not seeing how the Bengals are much different than they were last year. Joe Burrow's a little better, but to me, they still are not good in the trenches. They're not good enough to go all the way. And then the final game, did get this one right. Didn't go exactly how I thought. We did get this one right. The Cowboys annihilated the Buccaneers. Tom Brady was under duress the whole game. The pass rush and the athleticism of the Cowboys, especially Micah Parsons, who was everywhere, whether that was hitting Tom Brady, whether that was deflecting passes, the Buccaneers were out of sync on offense. And they won't run the ball as I expected. Tom Brady threw the ball 60 plus times. This was impressive. On one hand, it was very impressive by the Cowboys. As Dak Prescott, as Troy Aikman said, this was the best game he had ever played. And if he played like that all the time, it'd be a whole different conversation about the Cowboys, but he doesn't. He's an inconsistent player. Tony Pollard is the number 1 back. Big game from Schultz. Solid game from CeeDee Lamb. Completely outplayed the Buccaneers at home. It was not a game. The Cowboys got off to a little bit of a slow start, but the Buccaneers didn't do anything about it. They couldn't do anything about it. And the Buccaneers were the team in the NFC that just flat out did not deserve to be in the playoffs. And I say if you have a team, and this is why you don't need 7 teams. This is why 6 is almost too much even. You start having teams that are under 500 and they're division winners. And I say if you're not even a 500 team, you don't get in the playoffs. Too bad. And that's what you have to weigh in this game. How much can you take from some of these games? the 49ers being the Seahawks. Well, the Seahawks played very hard and were coached very well, but they're not a very good team. This game, the Buccaneers had no business being in the playoffs. They were not good at any point in the year. But the Cowboys got it done. It was Dak Prescott's finest hour in the wild card round. The Buccaneers had no edge rush at all. They had no answers for the Cowboys. And the Buccaneers just looked slow and old. I don't think Tom Brady's the real problem there, but Godwin was beat up. They have no running game. Julio Jones is so far removed from being what he was. Nice try, but goodbye, Buccaneers. I don't expect Tom Brady to ever play for them again. I fully expect him to be back playing just with another team. The Cowboys get their win. It is the first win they had. I can't help myself. This is the first win they had on the road in 30 seasons. I mentioned all the time, they had not advanced to or reached a conference title game since 1995. Yet we talk about them like they are the greatest team ever, and they're always the greatest team every year. And it's been 30 years since they won a road playoff game. And how did they win a road playoff game? Against a team with a losing record. So that's our week of wild card games. I went 4-2. Should have picked the Giants. We have, I'm pleased to say, much better divisional games, which we will preview in a different episode, starting off with the Jaguars and the Chiefs. Then we have the Giants and the Eagles. That's Saturday. Sunday, Bengals and Bills. Sunday is really what it's about. Bengals at Bills, Cowboys at 49ers. I have to say one more thing, though, about the announcing. Was it good to hear Al Michaels back on NBC? I was wondering, I didn't know who was going to call that game because we knew this Sunday night game was going to be Collinsworth and Tirico. It was great hearing Al Michaels with Tony Dungy. I don't care if people say, oh, well, they're the over-the-hill guys. I liked it. There's certain things, there's a couple things that I myself personally enjoy talking about these games. First of all, what's on the field, the actual players and the games themselves. We also like talking about the uniforms, I like talking about the announcers. And another thing too, 49ers colored end zones. Did those look great? The red end zones, they sure did. We've got better games coming up, and I'm hoping the quality of play will be better, and teams aren't going to be overlooking these lower seeds. It gets serious in the divisional round, and there's not going to be an easy game here. The Jaguars are going to have to pull one heck of an upset to beat the Chiefs. The Bengals and Bills, I expect them to both play better. The 49ers and Cowboys, old rivals, going at it. And then you have the Giants, who, the Giants, they kind of remind you of those Tom Coughlin teams. You do. Not flashy, not the favorite, but they're doing the little things right. They're playing good football. Keep an eye on the Giants.